Hello again. This time we will be talking about productivity and controls you can use in .vvm. And I will have just a very short introduction, and then I will hand over to my colleague Michael, who will show you some nice features from Bootstrap for .vvm. We frequently get asked how extensible .vvm is and if it's possible to use third-party controls within the framework. There is a few things to keep in mind. So the first fact is that .vvm is based on Knockout.js. So if you have any control or component or JavaScript library that is compatible with Knockout.js, it's a great thing because you can probably use it right away. When you have a view model in C# and it gets serialized and sent to the client, basically .vvm library builds a Knockout.js view model in the page, and it uses as normally as if you would use Knockout.js directly in the HTML. So you can use data bind syntax within the .html markup without any issues, and it should work. There are few special cases like that if you are using collections, so we are wrapping an extra observable around every collection item. And also, if you are using date time values, then probably some changes should be made because in order to prevent messing up with time zones, we are working with dates as strings in .vvm, so the dates are not translated to client's local time zone. Actually, there is one issue on GitHub that is quite complicated, and it concerns about supporting displaying date values in the client's local time zone. But right now the current state of .vvm is that if you look in the date time values in the view model, and if you look at the hour, minute and seconds numbers, then we translate this value in a way that those hour, minutes and seconds will be kept without any changes on the client side. So basically we are not supporting datetime offset, for example, right now, which is unfortunate, and we would like to add support for it. But what we can achieve right now is just not messing with time zones in any way. So the exact numbers that the user enters in their text box or datetime picker control, that's the same numbers you will see in the datetime struct on the server. So the hours, minutes and seconds will be as the user has seen them. This is the approach where we felt it will cause the smallest number of issues, but of course the problem of time zones is much more complex. So the date time are a little bit clunky, but the other date types would work without any issues. So you can use data bind, and if the control or component or library can work with data bind from Knockout, it should work. Also, you can, if the control doesn't support Knockout.js, it doesn't mean that you cannot use it in .vvm. You can, but you need to wrap it as a Knockout binding handler. And if you'll go to documentation of .vvm, sorry, I forgot to open this page. So .vvm.com/docs. And you browse to the control development section, there is a tutorial how to create custom Knockout binding handler, and also Knockout.js has quite nice documentation. So if you have any controls or components you are used to and you want to use them in .vvm, if you will create Knockout binding handler, then you can use these controls right away in the page. There is also a repo called .vvm Contrib, which contains community developed controls. So if you have any controls and you've wrapped them as a Knockout binding handlers, you can actually submit a pull request into this repo, and you will see that the control will appear there, and we will build NuGet packages for you. So installing a control in the project is as easy as installing one NuGet package and adding one line into startup .vvm startup.cs. So these are community built controls. So you can look if the control you actually need is located here, and if not, you can create your own. We have also a project template for that, so it's quite easy. You just run this, and it will create a project with the control, a testing web app where you can try the control right away, and also a UI test project, so you can make Selenium tests that make sure that the control is working, at least in some simple scenarios. Yeah, so this is the .vvm contrib repo, and if you have any third-party controls, you can wrap them as Knockout.js binding handlers, and then you will be able to use them in .vvm. We have also the commercial product, so we have a Bootstrap for .vvm, which basically wraps all those Bootstrap widgets as nice .vvm controls with support of data binding, validation, and all those features of .vvm. So in my previous session 2 hours ago, you could see that I had a long piece of HTML code, which was basically the Bootstrap responsive navigation, and this code was created that I will just open the Bootstrap documentation and copy pasted that snippet and edited it out. In Bootstrap for .vvm, you can just write something like BS responsive navigation, and it's a control. You will get IntelliSense for all the properties this control offers and for all those inner elements. So you will see that there are some left aligned items, right aligned items, main content, and other things. So it's quite useful because it's very discoverable. Also, there is, for example, model dialog, which is programmed in a way that it works for data binding. So there is displayed property, which you can switch by switching a Boolean expression or flag in the view model. And also there are features like that. If you press escape key, for example, then the dialog will be closed, and also the view model value that is bound to it is displayed could be updated. So there are a lot of tweaks like that. So it's not only about wrapping and generating Bootstrap HTML. There is also quite a large piece of JavaScript functionality which we have added in order to make the experience even more natural and smooth. And there is a data binding support with some controls. So for example, there is a tab control which you can bind for the tab items, so you can generate your tab items based on some collection in the view model, for example. Then we have a second package which is called .vvm Business Pack, and it's another bunch of controls. They are not related to Bootstrap. They are our own controls which we needed on our own projects, and we hope that you will also take advantage of them. And there are controls for typically large line of business applications. So there is advanced grid view, advanced form controls, I don't know, multi-select, combo box with searching, autocomplete, datetime picker. There's tree view, list view, grid view with more features than the default grid view that ships with the open source framework. There is model dialog or model window, and plenty of other controls. So you can use that, and it is also themeable, so you can use either our own theme which we have developed and which we have used on several projects, or there is a Bootstrap compatible theme. So if you are using Bootstrap, you can also convince these controls to look like they are part of Bootstrap. They are not related to the Bootstrap of .vvm, it's a different set of controls, but you can use these two packs together. And also this is just a bunch of CSS styles that will make the controls look in a Bootstrap look and feel. The business pack controls look like that. There are just some basic screenshots. You can see more in the documentation. So here are a few links. If you go to .vvm.com, so there is the products menu. You can see what is available in Bootstrap for .vvm and in .vvm Business Pack. You can also request trial version. So if you sign up on our website, you can ask for a 30 days trial. And again, if you need more time for testing this through, let us know and we will extend your trial and answer any questions you might have, because we really want you to have an opportunity to test everything before you make the decision. And there is the documentation. If you are interested in extending HTML, you should visit the control development section. Also, recently we have created an event called .vvm Virtual Meetup. The recording from that event is on our YouTube channel. So, and our colleague Standa showed some demos of how you can build your own controls in .vvm. So if you are interested in extending .vvm, make sure to watch this video, because it's a very nice tutorial of different kinds of controls and how to build them. And also there is the .vvm contrib repo. Okay, so that was a short intro from me. Now let's switch to my colleague Michal, who will show you some nice new features we have recently added to Bootstrap for .vvm.
Hello everyone, my name is Michal Tichy, and today I want to show you the new features in .vvm Bootstrap 4. But first, for those of you who are not familiar with the Bootstrap control pack, let me tell you why you might benefit from it. If you are mainly C# backend developer without extensive CSS knowledge, it will allow you to quickly create nice looking web applications. And even if you are a seasoned front-end developer, sometimes it's not necessary to create everything from scratch. .vvm Bootstrap comes with more than 70 controls with full IntelliSense support. The controls are easy to use and do not require any prior knowledge of inner Bootstrap HTML structure. But let's jump to the new features now. The first of them is the icons. The Bootstrap contained glyphicon icons in version 3, but unfortunately they got removed with release of version 4. Now, during the preparations for version 5, the icon pack is coming back. The Bootstrap team has released new icons. There are more than 500 of them. The second feature is custom CSS. This time it's only possible to change the structure of generated HTML, and especially the CSS classes used only with inheritance. Unfortunately, this approach requires you to have extensive knowledge of inner .vvm workings and the way how the controls are constructed. The new custom CSS allows you to create new classes, remove the old ones, or completely replace overused classes. The custom CSS is configured via server-side styles API. It allows you to specify exactly under which conditions your new classes will be used. This is useful, for example, when you need to use some custom Bootstrap theme, which often requires you to modify some of the inner CSS classes. Okay, let's jump to a short demo now. First, we will try the new icons. The icon has the type property which determines which icon will be used. It supports hard-coded values, or you can use the bindings. This is the only property which can be set on the icon. Any other modifications needs to be done via your custom CSS. For example, you might want to rotate your icon. I've already prepared the CSS classes to do this, and I will try to apply them via this class attribute. Now you can see that the icon isn't rotating correctly. This is because the spin class is not present on the correct element. But unfortunately, via this notation, we are not able to move this spin CSS class to the correct place, which is here. This is the right usage for the custom CSS functionality. We want to replace this default BI class with our BI spin to allow the icon to rotate. This can be done via the custom CSS. First, we need to override which icons will be used for our icon control. We can specify all the classes by ourselves via the icon CSS interface, or we can modify just some of them. We will do exactly that. Okay. We want to override the by class, which is present in the icon property, and we want to modify it to be by and spin. Okay. We also need to tell our custom CSS class that we will be using our new spinning icon theme. Now the only thing left to do is to register our custom CSS in the DotVVM startup. We can register our new custom CSS for the entire application via the register Bootstrap CSS method, or we can specify which control we'll be using the custom CSS. We can also specify some condition under which will be our custom CSS class applied. In this case, we specified that only controls with spin attribute will get our custom CSS behavior. So we can try it. Let's recompile it. Okay, now the icon isn't spinning because it does not have the spin attribute. But if I try to edit, everything should work correctly. Okay, nice. This is everything from me. I hope that you will enjoy the rest of the conference, and thank you very much.